So ladies and gentlemen, let's have a warm Bett round of applause for Vincent. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning from Quebec time. Just landed a few hours ago. First thing I really want to say, I'm really happy and proud to be here with you guys. It's an honor for me. Just a quick question. How many of you have heard about or saw a video on Facebook of people playing with an interactive screen in a gymnasium over the past year? Just by raise of hand. So some of you? Awesome. So one of the installation we did in Western Virginia 2 months ago there was a video posted by the head of curriculum from that school district, and I think today it reached 8 million views, and most of our videos get this type of attention. So lots of people know our product and what we do without exactly knowing who we are exactly. So my name is Vincent Routhier. I'm the CEO and founder of LU. I'll tell you our story. I'll try to share with you as much detail, backgrounds, our purpose, what we get out of bed to work for, like what are our passions. And I wanted to say maybe it would be interesting if you guys have any questions to maybe make this session a little bit more interactive. So if you want to interrupt me, please feel free. There's people that can come with a microphone. I will be really happy to answer the questions and share you as much information as I can. So welcome everybody. So I'm a musician. When I started playing piano, I was 4 years old, and I started scoring music for film. And because I was the most organized artist of my group of artists, I became the producer. So I was asked to manage the budget, the planification for everything. But there was one thing that was really captivating me, was this idea of an immersive storytelling. How can we tell stories in a more and more immersive way using technology? So I've been exploring many ways of telling stories, starting from music, sharing emotions, web games, events, and in the previous year before founding this new product, we were working a lot in museum for kids exhibitions. So we had some super power tools to engage those kids in museums, and I was feeling that those tools could probably be used to something really useful. And there's two things that happened in my life that changed pretty much everything. It's those girls. So this is Jeanne and Leonie. Leonie started the kindergarten this year. So 2 years ago, when I was thinking about where should I send them, where's the school right now, when I was in school compared to what's the state of the schools right now, and I started to mingling with people that were really passionate about education, and I was thinking, what will be my role as a father in their journey in the education space? And I had all those tools I was using, and I tried to blend the professional and personal life together. So there was this thing that happened 2 years ago. I don't know if some of you saw maybe this video. It was a PE teacher in the States who connected an iPad to a video projector. So he projected bugs on the wall, told the kids, splash the bugs with your balls, and we'll see what happened. And when the balls were just about to hit the bugs, he was splashing them with his finger on the iPad to give the kids impression their ball had the effect, actually. So really simple, but 40 million views later, lots of people tagged me, and I was in this mindset of what would be my role in education, as I just said. So we decided to test the idea, but maybe give some more time to the teacher so we could be with the kids without having to click on the iPad. So we tried to build a large-scale prototype of this idea. So a few weeks later, we went in a school, in a gymnasium, and we tried this idea of a giant screen that would be interactive using a 3D camera. So the kids, when they throw their ball on that target they have to aim in a game, the target could explode, or it's the idea of clicking somewhere in the game. And when we were in the gym with the teachers, the director, the principals from the school, and we saw the level of engagement from the kids, and we had all those ideas and the brain spinning, we knew we had something really important. And overnight, we had 1 million views of that video. And in the morning, on a Saturday morning, I was in pajama when I went on that video, and it had 1 million views, and we had requests from media from everywhere. We were compared to the new Nintendo Switch that was about to come out, and it was kind of overwhelming a little bit, but really fun. But with this really powerful tool that we had in the hand, we started to ask some really important questions, like we have a sandbox, we can do lots of different things with this, but what would be the purpose? Like, what would be the main idea? What would be the motto that would drive us to keep developing something meaningful and useful? when we came out with this idea of engaging kids to the next level. Engaging kids, so the definition for us about this idea of engaging kids is obviously the first one, to get them physically active and healthy, a healthy mind and a healthy body, creative and curious, passionate about school. This idea of gamification and immersive environment was allowing this idea and maybe allowing those opportunity for a special...
Attention, please. Could Adam and Zayn Halim
He's parked at the wrong place.
make themselves known at any entrance to a security staff member? That's Adam and Zayn Halim.
I hope I'll have
to an
15
entrance,
more
please.
seconds at the
Thank
end.
you.
Everybody hear me well? Awesome. So this idea of using powerful tools like I explained to get those kids really passionate about school. And passionate about school means maybe that small moment in the day where they had really strong souvenirs, or they were enchanted or surprised, or maybe this is the moment that will make them happy and excited about the next day at school. So this idea of getting them passionate about school and learning, the process of learning itself, and socially and emotionally balanced. And there's one thing really important about technology I would like to share with you, is this idea of that most technology interfaces or experiment are individual experience. So what we try to do with this idea of an augmented giant space is connect those little humans together so they are in the same experience, not in a virtual world or somehow. So those are things that are really important for us. Research is clear. Physically active and fit children tend to have a better academic achievement, better school attendance, and fewer disciplinary problems. Therefore, but many schools allow little to no time for students to be active. There might be lots of possible reasons why schools don't have the time for those kids to be active, but what we think is that maybe we should try to combine both of them and take the best of both worlds, so getting those kids active while learning. And I'll share you why I think it's a really strong idea. How many of you know about this book, Spark? It's this idea that movement is good for the brain and the body. So when you're physically engaged, your brain will get more oxygens and glucose, so the brain will run faster, you'll learn better. Put the brain back into hormonal balance, which regulate moods and behavior. So it's really backed by lots of research, this idea of learning through movement. And there's a key word that I think you guys might want to remember, is this idea of kinesthetic learning. So instead of being seated passively in the classroom, being physically engaged will increase the retention you have about the content, and you'll probably like a little bit better the experience itself. So this is one of our first design principles. We always keep in mind those design principles when we create experiences in our system. Second design principle is that the immersion and the augmented reality all engage lots of all the different types of intelligences. So how many of you are familiar with Howard Gardner theories of the multiple intelligences? Most of you? So this idea that the brain or the different types of intelligences will learn differently from one person to another one. So if you have a really immersive experience, that you see the content, you hear the content, you interact with the content, and you're interacting with different types of content in this environment because of a certain level of immersion, you will probably connect the learnings to the learners with a more effective way than if you try only one way at a time. So this idea is what's kind of the core of what we are building. Last but not the least, this idea of storytelling and gamification to enchant those kids, to surprise them. This idea of curiosity, creativity. So stories are one of the essential needs for children. They enhance their fantasy world and help them find solutions for their problems. Gamification, this idea of gamification, it boosts enjoyment. When you're playing instead of just learning, it boosts it generates dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter that controls the part of the brain responsible for pleasure. And this is really important. So probably lots of you use gamification or games and general game mechanics when you try to teach or engage the kids. But those two core principles are really important for us.
Thank you. For decades, gym class has stayed more or less the same at most schools, right? A little basketball, maybe volleyball, maybe a game of Red Rover or tag. But at one local school, that's changing in a very high-tech way.
A school in Morrisville, Bucks County is the first in the country to install the technology. NBC 10's Randy Gyllenhaal shows us how it combines video games with physical education.
The gymnasium at Valley Day School is quite simply out of this world.
And it gets your adrenaline pumping.
Loud music, flashing lights, and 2 giant screens up on the walls.
I'd say this is better than regular gym.
Students play games that combine movement with intellect, like solving math problems by throwing a dodgeball.
The math one, it gets so hard because I have to think, what is the number?
And then you got to throw the ball. It's an experiment education director Ron Hall hopes will help his special needs students. He invested $28,000 to purchase the Lou Interactive Playground, built by a company in Canada hoping to reinvent gym class.
Immersion, total immersion of your body, your head, your thoughts.
Kids here have emotional or behavioral disabilities, which means traditional PE with high-stakes sports and peer pressure can be daunting.
Keep them moving, keep them focused, and also engage those kids who might be maybe reluctant, who may not have been successful in traditional phys ed classes.
It also appeals to tech-savvy kids who grew up playing video games.
We need to stay in the times, even though I personally am not in the times.
Coach Jim Romano doesn't even own a cell phone, but he's embraced this new technology.
Oh, so it's a Mac.
It's a map, yes.
Because it gets kids moving and learning.
It's the best of both worlds.
All at the same time.
It's like dodgeball, but in future.
In Morrisville, Randy Gyllenhaal, NBC 10 News.
So you have some images about what I've been sharing. This video is about a year old. So you have a question? No? That's all right, sorry. So it's about a year old. So lots of different things happen, so I'll show you a little bit what were the upgrades. So basically how does Lu works, the magic behind Lu, is that we use a 3D camera, sensors, to film the wall. So we can detect where peoples are, where objects are thrown to the wall. And using this information, we can click in the game that we project on that same surface. So we use a video projector, the green image, so we can create a screen that is 20 feet wide. In meters, I'm not that good. I think it's 8 meter wide, about 8 meter wide. That camera films the same wall, so we can create this level of interaction. And there's one important feature, it's the lighting. So when you want to have a really sharp and contrasty video projection in a gymnasium that big, if the lights are on, you need a really powerful and expensive projector. So what we do is that we turn off the lights from the gym, and we have our own lighting system. But while we have our lighting system in there, why don't we use it to create some more level of immersion and interactivity that is connected to the games or the activities themselves? So when you lose a point in one of the activities, the full gym can turn in red for 2 seconds. So even if you're not looking at the screen because you're running or something, you can feel that immersion combined to the sound. It's really, really powerful for those kids. And then we have the content software, which is actually we update our systems. All our systems that are installed, are remotely connected to the internet. So each month we release new activities that are designed. I'll explain you how we design those activities. So each month there's a new release with new activities. Last week we released Gaia. It's a meditation activity. Danza, which is a dance application, and right now we're working on lots of time management tools because in the gymnasium that's one of the core things we've been asked from PE teacher a lot. So this idea of a system that is connected online, and I'll tell you a little bit where we want to take this further on. This system can be installed from the ceiling permanently in one wall or 2 walls. So the Valley Day we saw in the video, they had 2 walls facing each other. So on those 2 screens, you can have the goal of the blue team on one side of the gym and the red team on the other side. So you use the full floor to move on during this game. So you can play a traditional football or soccer game, or and yeah, that's it. And we have a portable system, which is great for our school district. So it can be moved from one school to another one. And we have lots of partners who use those portable systems to go in schools and do demonstrations. So it takes about 15 minutes to install, and it's the same experience than the one that is installed to the ceiling. Yep. Yep. So the screen, I'll just come back to this presentation. So As I explained, there's a camera filming the wall. There's the lighting system and the projector here. So the screen is a video projection. For the portable one, everything is packaged in the same enclosure on a stand that can lift high, so it doesn't create shadows on the wall. But it's the same technology in both. No, there's no technology either in the wall or in the ball. It's really a 3D camera that films it. So there's no electricity or anything required, only a white surface. Content development strategy. So how we create content for LU. So there's there's 5 different categories of content we build right now. So there's curriculum-based content, which are related to standards, most of the time international standards, because our product is already installed in 16 or 17 countries right now. Health and wellness, this guided meditation application is a really good example. We were sent a picture from a PE teacher in Belgium this week with 100 kids in the gymnasium meditating at the same time in a light, dark blue environment with the voice. So, and I'll tell you more about that game, this activity later on. Sports and physical education activities. Utilities and theater. So we try to make the usage of this infrastructure as easy as possible for everybody. So now you have a giant video projector in your gym. You can use it for a movie night if you want, or you can use it to present a PowerPoint, a Google slide, or because it's a computer with a projector. You can use those light systems if you want to have a special cocktail or an event in the gym or do a special activity. And we want to build theatrical application. As an example, we want to do the Le Petit Prince, the Small Prince, the Little Prince, a play. So we would provide the content for the show, pre-program all the sets that would be projections or maybe even interactive sets and the lighting. So the school, the teacher could build a play and present it with like a professional, technically professional level of presentation using the same infrastructure. So only through updates we can generate new usage and applications. And arcades for this idea of enjoyment, but always arcades are always activities that stimulate this physical activity at a really high level. Our focus right now is to develop content based on core competencies. So we're doing lots of content right now on maths, and there are some core competencies that are hard to get and learn when you start at school that will be useful for the rest of your learning process. So we have in our team a chief educational officer that works with researchers right now, so we can identify what are those core competencies, and this is how we decide which next activities we will build. It's really to focus on those things that have maybe to be reinforced throughout the process of gaming or activities that the one we can offer. We want to align those activities with international standards, so we're not based on American or Canadian or European standards. We try to cover it maybe more from the International Baccalaureate Standard Program, to give you a reference. We really want our activities to be used as much as possible, so we want to create stuff that people can reuse a lot, not activities that you'll use only for one specific day in the full school year. We want to empower teachers and the teaching itself. So we see our system as like something that the teacher will deliver using the system, a better teaching, not because of our content, but because it will kind of amplify the role of the teacher itself. So I'll talk a little bit more later about that. And reinforce this the classroom learning. So we want to be connected to what happened in the classroom, to maybe see this activity as a reinforcement, like the final stage or the moment where you'll work back on the learnings you had in the previous week. And this comes with this idea of a content management system that we are working on right now, where the teacher could edit his own activities online and then go in the gym and use the system to validate and work on those things they've worked on in the week. Research is really important for us. There are research projects that are starting in the next month right now. We want to identify those core competencies and skills, as I said, validate and optimize all the activity design, and that's being done even in the beginning of the process. So we have a LU Lab. It's a community online where all our users are connected, and we have some researchers, and when we have ideas or requests, everybody gets the moment to share their opinions about it. So we create more relevant content. We don't have to iterate too much. We want to measure the impact on learning. even if it's negative for us, we really want to track if what we're doing is generate results. And the studies that will start in the next months are specifically about that. We want to support third-party research. So if you guys are working on research project that you might be interested to utilize a technology or an approach like us, we're really open for collaboration. And we want to explore new futures and possibilities. I have 10 minutes. That's good. So those are some examples of the activities we have. I'll go more in details for 3 of them in the next slide. But to give you an idea, we have on the top left, it's a game that we, actually I'll talk about it right here, so you see in the presentation. That game was designed only by kids. So what we did, actually, we had the kids from grade 4, 5, 6, and 7 that were asked to come with us in design sessions, and what we did actually was just to keep the best ideas and moving them forward with them. So their school sports team are the Vikings. So they wanted to do a game in the Viking environment and world. So the game name title it all came from them. And in this game, there's the first section of the game where you have to sail your boat to some cities. Because of the resolution, we don't see much, but on that city, there's a certain number of points because it's harder to sail to that city. And that city is about math. So if you get there, there will be a challenge with choice and questions and choices of answer. So when you sail your red team, you sail there, then you get some points because you sail that. But then both teams switch in a mode where they have questions and choices of answer that are about the topic that was about the pictogram on that city. And when you sail, you need to avoid the kraken, because if the kraken hit your boat, all the boat teams have to work together to fight that kraken to go back in the play the game. Another example we saw in a video, it's called Newton. So we split the screen in 2 areas, so there's 2 teams. Normally what we do is some form of a relay. So all the kids are in row. The first in line gets to throw his ball. He runs, get it, and bring it back to the next in line and go back. So it's kind of a relay, so it can go really fast. And even the kids who don't hold the ball, they're thrilled to just yell the answer, so their team will progress. So everybody is really engaged during that process. So you have the questions, you throw the ball on the answer, and when you start all our games, there's always a level of difficulty, some settings, so you can decide to play only with additions or additions and subtractions, and so most of the games are configurable, so you can adapt the level of difficulty to the exercise you want to do, and the kids you have in the room. Take some time to breathe. I forget sometimes. This one is about breathing, actually. So Gaia, this one was released last Thursday, and it's a guided meditation. So how many of you are familiar with Headspace? It's meditation application. So there's a voice helping you to breathe and really control your emotions and relax. So what we did in this one is we worked with a researcher from the Children's Hospital in Quebec that was specialized with kids that are going to surgery. So his role is to reduce their anxiety and work with them so they can be prepared, and this has an impact on how many medication they have to give to those kids. So we've worked with him to build that content. It's a 12-minute meditation, and it's based on the exercise of Dr. Jacobson. So the Dr. Jacobson's, it's a sequence of 10 muscles that you contract and decontract. So it's really easy, and because you have something to follow, the kids can go in that flow without sometimes just pure meditation is hard for kids because they kind of lose their attention, but because of this idea of muscle contraction, they have something to focus on, and it works really well. And this is the activity that we received a picture with 100 kids in the gym. So in this one, there is no interactivity with the screen. We only use the powerful sound and light system. The content on the screen is really low profile because we don't want to distract the kids that are always looking at what's happening. So it's only a guidance of, in this specific example, is that you need to put your chin down and then up 7 times. So after the 2 times, you cannot even stop looking at the screen because you understood what you had to do, and you can work on your meditation then. Am I going too fast? Any questions? Not yet? I wanted to share with you an example with maybe a more elaborated level of refinement. So this is another activity we have. It's called Constello. This one is a Cartesian map. So there's coordinates on the top, and you need to place a star in the sky at those coordinates. When you get all the stars placed in the sky, you reveal a constellation. So this one is about Cartesian map, but if you look at the standards that are embedded in a game like this, we work on mathematical practice, geometry. There's this phys ed standards for the motor skills, the throne, and then all these dimensions of science and culture. And then you can even talk about what does it mean, a constellation, in terms of culture and society. This activity will be the one reviewed by the research project in a few months. So we are building sub-activities that will help the teacher build the skills until they can go there. And we are doing this with a school specialized with special needs kids. Not remember the English name for it, but it's kids that have really important difficulties to learn, like dysphasia, dyslexia. What? Dyslexia, yeah, exactly. So that will be a really interesting project, I believe. 4 product development that are coming up right now, but basically this idea of human-centered design, everything we do, we try to do it for those little humans and those big humans that will be interacting with our system. So as I explained with the Vika game, we work with the kids when we design our games. And if we don't work with the kids, we have a rapid prototyping approach where we want to be with those kids as soon as possible to see how they engage with the content, get feedback from teachers, specialists. We started from, we feel a bit like imposters, like outsiders, but we bring lots of different expertise and a new vision about that. But we are really open about everything we do, but we really focus on who will be using our product. We are working on a mini configuration, so that will be a new product we will release later this year. 1 minute? I'll speed it up. That will fit in smaller rooms like classrooms, multipurpose rooms, sensory rooms. All our systems are connected online, so there's nothing that stops us from allowing people to play live against or with other kids in other places in the world. We did our first international tournament in December, and we had kids from 5 countries doing a running relay competition. And all the teams who won were from a Belgium school because the teacher worked so hard with the kids to train them and get them ready, but it was really amazing. Kids in the American school who did that, they sang the national anthem before the kids were doing the activity, just to give you an idea how serious they were about it. And we want to include new way of interacting with the content. So now it's the ball, some content that doesn't need interaction with the screen, but there are lots of things that could be do with natural interaction with all the AI and the different sensors that are coming up. So we will add new interfaces and sensors that will be able to connect to our system. Let's dream the future together. We're seeking for collaborators, thinkers, advocates. It's a 2-year-old project. I would be really open for any discussions or ideas you guys may have, and thank you very much for your attention.
Merci, Vincent. And nice to have you here with us today. It's been really interesting hearing about your product and what you've been doing there with schools. Certainly some fantastic ideas and very of the moment as well.